If you're tuning in now, I'm Ron Boogiemonster Gerber. We do this radio show every week, as we have for nearly 25 years. It's called Crap from the Past. It's a graduate level course in pop. I'm joined this week by the great Paul Haney. We'll use the prefix "the great" because
you don't hear me object, do you?
No, see, the great. He works for the company that publishes the Joel Whitburn books, a company called Record Research that's been around since. Help me out here.
1970 is when Joel actually published his first book.
Yeah.
And I've been there since March of 1992.
Which is a long time.
That's a long time.
That's only 2 months younger than Crap from the Past itself. So we're both coming up on 25 years in our current positions.
Yep.
Awesome. We should do something. I don't know what we would do.
A world premiere, maybe, tonight.
A world premiere. That? So we've teased this, and I'll tease it some more. So if you can you hand me the those bubbling under charts?
Sure.
So this is what, if you were a recipient of Billboard magazine.
We should talk about the Wikipedia page, too. Because I think you checked that out, too. So
I did. So if you were alive in 1979, specifically in June 1979, you might have dug through the bubbling under the Hot 100 portion of the Billboard charts. This is June 16th, 23rd, and 30th.
And I should mention that the bubbling under charts were not located anywhere near the Hot 100. They were kind of buried in the middle of the magazine. So.
Yeah, why was that?
I'm not sure. I just heard that noise again, though. That's your
phone.
What
is that? No, my phone doesn't make that sound. And it's way over there.
Maybe somebody doesn't want us to play this song.
I know what it is. I forgot to plug in my laptop.
Oh, there you
go. That's my laptop complainy sound.
Okay.
So the next song I have is off CD. We'll play that. And then I'll go plug in my laptop.
Let's get back to the DA here.
All right. So again, if you had got the bubbling under the Hot 100 charts, you would have seen this song called Ready N, and the N is in a little apostrophes there. Ready and Steady by an artist named D.A.
Yep.
D.A.
Yep.
And it would have been on Rascal Records, Rascal number 102. And this song stayed on the bubbling under charts for 3 weeks, got as high as number 102 on June 30th, 1979. And
then fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, and
literally.
I don't think it got any airplay anywhere, and that would have been that. And you would have gone on with your life and not known any better. But if you were collecting these particular records, you would have had a really tough time with this.
Yes, and Joel Whitburn was collecting everything that made the charts, including the bubbling under chart. And when this record came out and Joel saw it on the chart, he put a little circle next to it, and he always would fill in the circle when he'd get the actual record. So he put his little circle by it, and that circle did not get filled in until about a month ago.
So just about 37 years. Wait, that's June. So this really is the 37th anniversary of when this thing actually supposedly hit the charts.
Yeah, it was almost to the day when I actually found out the story, and
for years, the operating premise was, we're not even sure if this exists.
Yeah, it could never be found. The internet, as you know, just about anything can be found on the internet, and a lot of sites have actual, all the thousands of non-charted songs. A lot of sites will put up the actual label scans, and you can go to YouTube and hear a lot of the non-charted stuff. People will actually be spinning the little records and all that. So, but nobody could ever track down Ready and Steady by D.A. And I think, Ron, you were telling me that you were checking out the Wikipedia page on it. And this song actually has a Wikipedia page. Not bad for a song that does not exist. It actually does have a Wikipedia page. And that page is going to have to be amended after we reveal some details here tonight. So
that is amazing. I'm sorry, I had to go plug in.
That's okay. I was trying to cover for you there, but
you did really well there. So
former radio guy, I've been known to do that.
Stretch.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, you checked out the Wikipedia page.
I checked out the Wikipedia page. It's full of guesses.
Yep.
For the most part, because we weren't really sure if this record exists. Would this be the first time that Billboard has actually put something that doesn't exist on the charts?
Yeah, as far as I know, this is the only thing that Joel was never able to track down. And I know that we were speculating for years that it was some kind of copyright trap that Billboard was trying to catch, perhaps Cashbox or Record World, their competitors at the time, trying to catch them in some kind of copyright trap. But that is not the case.
No, this turned out to be a real record.
This turned out, not even a real record.
I'll let you tell the story. Okay. You know more than I do.
It turned out to be a real song, actually. And I guess we can go into the details here. By the way, if you do, you can also run a Google search on Ready and Steady by DA, and you'll find all kinds of other web pages come up where people are speculating.
And that's all speculation.
Yeah. And somebody even went so far as to solicit artwork for the imaginary Phantom DA single.
Really?
Yeah. Of picture sleeves. So you might want to check that out if you get a chance.
I do.
As far as I know, there's no actual picture sleeve with this, but so just let me know when you want me to go into the story here. And
okay, well, what are some of the speculations as to what this record could actually be?
Okay,
because this is what people thought for 37 years.
Right. Well, like I said, we thought that it was some kind of copyright trap. In fact, we used to have a bubbling under book that was separate from the Top Pop singles. Now everything is put together in one book, but we actually had a separate bubbling under book for years, and we always list bios, artist bios for every artist. Mm-hmm. And of course, we couldn't do anything for DA because we didn't know anything about it at the time. And we even put a little note in, I think, one of the last editions of the Bubbling Under book saying, we will offer a reward of $50 to anyone who can produce this record. And when that didn't work, we decided to drop it from the book. And unfortunately, we didn't get this information in time for the new Top Pop Singles book.
Oh.
However, I think it probably will be front and center on the next edition. So
on the cover, probably.
Yeah. Joel said we should put this thing on the cover. Well, there is no record to put on the cover.
Oh.
But we did get a copy of the song.
Before you even say what the song was, what were people guessing as to what this record actually sounded like?
Well, there were some guesses. There was a Rascal label that I think perhaps did some punk records or something. And for the longest time, we thought it was maybe some kind of there was a female punk band out of Chicago named DA that recorded in the early 80s, but they actually went on record and say that they never did a song called Ready and Steady. So, yeah, they actually came out and said that. And then we did. Now, there was a Rascal label back in the 60s, I've since found out, but that has nothing to do with this. But there was a Rascal label that came out in like 1984, and I have a little scan of that.
Oh.
There. And it turns out that Rascal label actually is actually associated with this group called DA, but we don't think they were around yet in 79, and I can tell you a little more details on that.
Yeah, the Rascal Records, you handed me a 12-inch, this is a print from Discogs of a group called Shock and a song called Slam Dunk.
Yeah.
And the Rascal, the label itself is pretty funny. It's got a picture of a little raccoon up at the top, a little cartoon drawing of a raccoon.
Yeah, and I actually listened to the song on YouTube, and it's a rap song.
Okay.
It's about basketball.
Slam Dunk by Shock.
Yeah, Dr. J, and it mentions some other players from
Outstanding.
But anyway, that actually... The reason I bring that up is because there actually ended up being a Rascal label after the fact. So.
Okay. But not in 1979.
Not in 1979.
And so there were guesses that were all, shots in the dark.
Yep.
And, but now tell us, retrace your steps, because I'm sure you followed up on all these leads.
Yeah.
You can tell us the ones that didn't pan out first.
Well, I've got the whole dossier.
That's great. You've got many printed out pages. That's great.
Actually, I'm not going to go into. Well, I mentioned, that we thought it was some kind of copyright trap or something like that. And I think last time I was on your show, we talked about some of this stuff. But what really happened was about a month ago, in the first week of June, we had a customer by the name of Matt Scott sent an email to Record Research, and he said, "I've been looking into this DA thing, and I think I might have a couple leads for you." So I want to give a tip of the hat to Matt Scott for getting us on the right track. But I actually went and followed some of the leads, and it turned out to where we're sitting here tonight, ready to actually play the song that we thought for 37 years did not exist.
Wow!
So I can kind of tell you where those leads led to. Mm-hmm. It turns out that. On the internet, you can go to the Copyright Office, the U.S. Copyright Office, and there is a song called Ready and Steady listed there with a year written 1979, but it wasn't copyrighted until 1986. So, but it lists two writers. It listed a Dennis Armand Lucchese, Dennis Armand, D.A. in quotes.
Oh, that's encouraging.
So that actually was on the Copyright Office record. It was Dennis D.A. Lucchese and another guy by the name of Jim Franks. Well, it turns out that Dennis Lucchese actually passed away back in August of 2005, and somebody actually posted his obituary online.
Oh, okay.
So obviously we weren't going to get in touch with him.
No.
But it turns out that Jim Franks is still very much alive, and he lives out in California, and he actually has a weekly radio show. You'll like this, Ron. He has a weekly radio show on non-commercial radio.
Wow.
Called Pioneers and Prophets, and he plays a lot of jazz and blues stuff from the 50s and 60s.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I actually did listen to the show, and it's actually a pretty good show. But anyway, it's on a small station out in Ukiah, California, which is out near the Bay Area.
Nicely done, Jim Franks.
Yeah. So anyway, the guy said, well, he gave me the name of the station. He said, well, why don't you maybe call the station? And so I did that. I called the radio station on a flyer. The guy on air answered the phone, and I asked if I could speak with Jim Franks, and he said, well, Jim is only here on Wednesdays. He does a show on Wednesdays. He does something else during the week. But I know the guy, and give me your number. I'll have him call you. Mm-hmm. And about an hour and a half later, the phone rang.
Wow.
And it was Jim Franks. And
did you tell him why you wanted to talk to him?
Yep. I told him the whole story. He was actually surprised to find out how much information I already knew.
Ah.
So he's a pretty private person, and I don't want to go into all the details on the story just because like I said, he's a pretty private person. But he did confirm that he and Dennis Lucchese actually did write the song "Ready and Steady," and it was the one that appeared on the Billboard Bubbling Under chart on the Rascal label. And so, of course, my first question was, well, do you have a copy? Sure. I explained that Joel collects all the records, and this is the only song that we could never find that made the Billboard charts. And he, again, was surprised that anybody even cared about that, to be quite frank. But I said, yeah. I said, it's been quite the mystery all these years. And I told him a little bit about some of the speculation online and stuff. And he said, well, I'll tell you the story. And he was gracious enough to tell me the story. And it turns out that there was a record promotions guy who somehow got to see their band. The actual name of the band was D.A. and the Dukes.
Okay.
And they played out in the Bay Area. They played local bars and clubs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that this record promo guy with not one of the huge labels, but it was a pretty major label, he told D.A. and the Dukes that he thought he could, if they recorded some songs, he thought maybe he could help get them on the charts. Is basically the story in a nutshell. Again, I don't want to go into all the details, but
as much as you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, the band was a bit skeptical about his ability to do that. Here comes a big promo guy saying, hey kid, come with me and I'll get you on the Billboard charts.
Sure.
Well, it turns out that he did. Mm-hmm. And even though they did not have a record, they did record some songs, and these were recorded in 1979. And one of those songs was titled "Ready and Steady." Mm-hmm. And it turns out that somehow the promo guy was able to get the song onto the Bubbling Under chart. Probably wasn't able to get it onto the Hot 100. That might have raised too many eyebrows.
Yeah.
But like I said, the Bubbling Under chart at the time was kind of buried in the middle of the magazine. You really had to hunt for it to find it. And it was almost always at the bottom of a page, along with the book reviews and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it was, it wasn't easy to find. So anyway, lo and behold, he got the song onto the Bubbling Under chart, even though there was no record. So I asked him about the Rascal label. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that the Rascal label at that time did not actually exist as a record label. It may have existed on paper somewhere. And like I said, in 1984, it actually did show up.
Okay.
And it turns out that it was a relative of one of the guys in the band that had the label. But anyway, I did ask him about the Rascal label, and he said Rascal was somebody's dog's name. And I'm not sure if it was the promo guy or one of the other guys that were involved with this. But
were the guys in the band sort of in on it? And they looked and
No, they were more. It was more. I think it was more the promo guy. That told him he could. He made a lot of promises to these guys, and it's a familiar story in the music industry.
Sure.
Hey kid, come with me and I'll make you a star, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And obviously it didn't pan out, but they did record the songs, and the song did get on the Billboard charts. Again, this is 37 years ago.
37 years ago.
Yeah,
How many
1979.
did you ask him how many songs they recorded?
Yeah, he actually did send me. He sent me like 3 or 4 different songs that they recorded, including another alternate version of Ready and Steady. It's more of a like a demo version. It's got you hear the tape player going back and stuff like that. Anyway, so I asked him. I said, well, since there was no record, can you send us a copy of the song? And he said that he had a copy on cassette.
Ooh.
So he said that he would dub it off onto a disc, and that's about a week later. We got it in the mail, and he wrote me a nice note and thanked me for the interest and that kind of thing. And I still don't think he can quite believe all the mystery all these years. But
wow! And for the first time, probably.
Oh yeah.
Since this song was recorded 37 years ago, we're going to play it on the radio.
And this is an actual song. Again, it only got to the cassette stage. It never got pressed onto a record, according to Jim Franks. It did not make a record. So this is a dub of a cassette. It sounds pretty good. I think the quality's pretty good. And believe it or not, the song it's a pretty catchy song.
Nice. And for the first time anywhere in the world, this is DA from 1979 and Ready and Steady on Crap from the Past.
Some things I do might be wrong. I said, honey, have you ever
Oops, that's how it ends. That's great.
For a song that supposedly never existed, that sounds pretty good.
That genuinely exists, but it was never pressed to vinyl, and that's the first time probably it's ever been played on the radio since it was recorded 37 years ago in 1979. Ready and Steady by D.A. And thanks to Paul Haney, who's right here, able to give you a world premiere of that song, which bubbled under the Hot 100 in June 1979 and has been as yet unconfirmed as to its existence for 37 years, up until about a month ago.
Yep, and now that Wikipedia page is going to have to totally be redone.
Yeah, I'm hoping that crap from the past gets mentioned on the Wikipedia page. That's great. So, Ready and Steady by D.A. What are the two guys' names in the band again? Or the two guys who wrote it? I don't know who else is in the band.
I'm not sure either. I do know the names of the two guys that wrote it. Dennis Armand Lucchese and Jim Franks are the writers, and Dennis Armand, that's where the D.A. comes from. So.
And Jim Franks gave you the details as to where that came from and supplied you a cassette, that recording there taken from a cassette of that one song. That's been probably the most elusive song in the entire history of everything.
Yeah, and that was a big day at Record Research when we got that song, and both Joel and I were able to listen to it, and we just couldn't believe it.
I can't believe it exists.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you so much for bringing that in.
I thought of all the shows, I thought for sure Crap from the Past, that would be the place that would truly be appreciated.
Yeah, and the song's pretty good.
It is. It's a toe tapper.
Yeah, I'm really impressed.
Yeah.
So
it's better than a lot of charted stuff, I think, from that year.
Yeah, 79. It hit
better than the Pink Lady.
Better than Pink. There's a lot of things that are better than Pink Lady.
That's true.